Last Breath is a new survival thriller movie starring Woody Harrelson and Simu Liu. Follows a bunch of seasoned divers who go in a submarine to the bottom of the ocean to repair a pipeline. This is just their job. These guys do this for a living. When they're going down, there's a freak accident. The cable snaps and one of the divers is lost. And they have to try and get him back. And the movie chronicles this amazing true story, as it's being marketed, of like trying to get the guy back, what happens to him. This movie is based on a true story of Chris Lemmons, and in the movie, he's played by Finn Cole. I knew absolutely nothing about this story going into it. I'd only seen trailers for this when I went to see Nosferatu, which was oddly the first time I saw a trailer for this, and I kind of thought to myself, that doesn't look that interesting. I didn't even know it was based on a true story. Also, just the fact that it's a February 28th release date, which really is just a dead time. From January to February, the movies that come out then are usually movies that are not going to be massive hits. It's a very slow season for the cinemas. So for this to just come out at the end of February just kind of told me this isn't something to be excited about. It wasn't released in IMAX or any premium format. It was just dropped into theaters. It was a quick 90 minutes. It's based on a documentary that is based on this true story. And the biggest issue with this movie to me is it doesn't work as a film. It isn't entertaining enough to be a narrative 90-minute feature. I didn't know about this true story, and it is a really incredible true story. This diver was basically stuck underwater without oxygen for 30 minutes, and no one could explain what happened, why he survived, why he didn't have any physical or mental brain damage at all. He was totally fine, which I guess is kind of a spoiler, but it's a true story. The thing is, this movie, how it elicits tension, and I guess it's trying to be a true story, so it's trying to keep things accurate. It is just really slow. Not a lot happens. And even though it's 90 minutes, it feels almost to me like nothing happens. You get to meet the divers. Woody Harrelson, of course, is the seasoned sub diver. I feel like he was perfectly cast in this movie. He did this. Apparently this was filmed like a couple of years ago too, like 2023. So I could see why it sat around for a while, kind of waiting to be released. It's just a really simple movie, not a lot of drama. It just isn't that exciting. The thing is, they want to keep this movie accurate and authentic, but at the same time, you're just drawing out this really simple story. Like, he gets stuck down there, that's a conflict. Then they have to go find him, that's also a conflict, trying to find this guy underwater where it's dark. Then he's losing oxygen, that's a conflict. And then, like, when they're trying to grab him or pick him up using this, like, underwater robot, they just draw out the tension so much. And this is the issue to me. Because I know this is a true story, because it's really short, because there's nothing really that interesting about it, it's all like kind of in one location, they draw out these scenes for so long, and you kind of, like, the animal part of my movie watching brain knows what's going to happen. Like the close-ups of them, like, squeezing the remote control, like, if I miss, like, his belt, if this, like, robot arm that's supposed to pick this guy up accidentally, like, grabs his skin, like, we're done. Like, I just know that because there's still time in the movie, that won't happen. So there's really no tension there. And then there's, like, they try to pick this guy up, but he's, like, still stuck to the bottom of the pipe or the manifold, whatever he, like, clips himself onto to survive. It just, like, draws out the tension. Then you're like, he's stuck. We have to unclip him. It just feels so drawn out. And then the last 20 minutes to me were extremely drawn out. It's like everything is a dramatic exchange. Like, the ship captain is like, we have to stay here and rescue him. There's people who are like, but the waves, but like he's gonna be stuck, and like, I don't care, we're getting this man up. It's just so drawn out for such a quick story. It doesn't really work as a feature-length film. And to me, the worst part is the end, where they try to elicit some kind of emotion, where this guy, like, they rescue him and you think he's brain dead, and they're like, he's been underwater for 30 minutes, like he's gone, he lost his, his ability to speak, to understand. And then, like, they like have this moment of mourning, and then, like, 15-20 seconds later, the guy's like, fine. He's like, hey guys, like, I'm back. It's so ridiculous. Like, it just feels like so cheesy. This should have been a short or just a documentary. Some things just don't work as feature-length films. Another huge issue is we just don't have any backstory for any of the characters. The main diver character, Chris Lemmons, We get to see a bit of him and his wife at the beginning, but it's so early. The wife's barely in it. It's one of those things where he's like, I'm going underwater, I'm going to dive. And she's like, be careful. And we don't know anything about these guys, though. It's very hard to balance in a film backstory, balancing the drama, balancing the tension. But this film gives you absolutely nothing to latch onto with these characters. You just know Woody Harrelson's the seasoned diver guy. Simu Liu is the kind of no-nonsense guy who isn't fun. You don't know anything about him, though. You hear he has kids, but you don't see them. You don't see him really communicating with them. And for Chris Lemmons, you just know that he's got a wife at home, but like nothing else. And it just kind of leaves this emotional void where when he's down there, I don't really feel like I'm invested in, the story. I just like obviously want the guy to get out, but you're not like really rooting. Like, come on, I care about all these characters, because you don't. And it is a great story. This guy survived underwater for 30 minutes without oxygen. That itself is just incredible. And I see why there's so much potential, and the producers and whoever decided to make this film said, hey, this is a really great story. Let's make this. But it just simply is not enough to work as a 90-minute feature. Where if you think about it, he's underwater for like 30 minutes without oxygen, 10 minutes where he's like running out of oxygen. So that's 40 minutes. So they're drawing out 40 minutes into a feature-length movie. And it is not entertaining because everything feels so drawn out. I was even saying to my friend who I saw this with, like, I doubt the conversations went exactly like this. Like, there's moments where they're all debating each other and they're like, we have to go down, like they're just debating. And I'm just like, this didn't go down like this. I'm sure they were just all like frantically like, we got to do this, we got to get him out. Yep. But it just feels so like just so melodramatic and cliche. Just the close-ups of the people on the boat who are trying to get the sub up, and you see their like worried looks, and the ship captain, like the close-up of Cliff Curtis, who's the ship captain, him looking worried. It doesn't work to me as a feature because of how small it is, and because the story itself, with its very short time period, at least just the way this is told, it isn't interesting. Maybe if we had gotten some more of his backstory, maybe if we had spent more time with these guys before, and, they actually stuck to just making this very, in real time. If they had done that, I think the movie actually could have worked. Like, if you give some backstory, show them on a mission, and then show in real time this all happening for 40 minutes, that could be interesting. But because of how they just draw out this situation, and it's very obviously Hollywooded to death, it just leaves this weird feeling. And I see why this movie sat around for so long. There's no emotional investment. It isn't really pretty to look at. I could even tell from the trailers when they were trying to, sell you on the movie's best scenes, there were not a lot of them that are tension-inducing. Because I remember watching the trailer and there's like one shot where Woody Harrelson's like, now, and you see a guy like swimming to avoid something falling. There's like 3 moments where you really feel like anyone's in danger. Maybe less than that. So it's a story that doesn't really lend itself, unless you really worked hard to, work on the time crunch and everything like that. It doesn't work as a Hollywood film. It's not large scale enough. And the characters are just, at least in the movie, not interesting enough. So that's Last Breath. Let me know what you guys thought of it if you saw it. Thank you guys so much for watching this review.